talking about rotations today. We've talked about sliding an object and also reflecting an object. So now we're going to look at rotating or turning an object. We are going to focus the majority of our time talking about rotating an object on a coordinate plane. That's what's going to be on the test. But just in general, whenever we're rotating something, we are always going to be rotating in a counterclockwise direction unless they specify otherwise. So by default, it's going to go counterclockwise, the opposite way that a clock goes. The distance away from your rotating point doesn't change. That's what this right here is saying. So essentially, you're putting something on a string and then spinning it around a stationary object. We're going to be focusing on the coordinate plane, so our stationary object is the origin. We're going to be rotating it around the origin. So just the biggest mistake kids make is that they turn it the wrong way. So just make sure that you're rotating your objects counterclockwise. So we're going to try it with this picture right here. What we're going to do is we're going to write down the original coordinates. Okay. So X is where? 1, 6. Okay. Y is at 2, 2. And Z is where? 8, -1. Okay. So they're probably going to give you those. Here's what you're going to do. We're going to do 2 different rotations, okay? Once we're going to rotate at 90 degrees, and then the other one we're going to do later is 270. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to be actually turning the graph, and we're going to write down the coordinates as if we were having it face that direction. So here's what I mean. You're going to take the picture. Now you're going to be actually rotating your iPad, not just the graph like I did, but it should be facing this direction now, because you turned it 90 degrees clockwise, which is 1/4 turn. Okay, now here's the part that may be a little bit confusing at first, but you need to now imagine that this horizontal axis is your x-axis. Okay, and we're going to write down the coordinates as if it was facing this direction. So let's write down, x is now located where? -6, 1. Y is now where? -2, 2. Z is 1, 8. All right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to bring everything back to the original location. These coordinates off to the left-hand side are part of your answer. So I need to see them on the test. You can't be doing this rotation process in your head. I need to see these off to the side in the margin. Okay, what we're going to do right now is now we're going to plot these points on the graph as if it's back in the normal position. So X is going to be -6, 1. Y is -2, 2. And then Z is 1, 8. So what we just did right here is we took this triangle and essentially we attached strings to it, and then we rotated it around the origin right here, 0, 0, and we rotated it 90 degrees. So we turned the triangle. Okay, now if we did this correctly, if I turn this graph again, it should land exactly on that red triangle, right? Should. Okay, and it does. Now, if we want to rotate it 270, how many turns is that? Right. You got 90, another 90, and another 90 would be 270 degrees. So they're only going to be asking you to rotate in increments of 90. They're not going to ask you to rotate at 45 degrees. So we've got 90 degrees, which we already did. This would be 180. and this is 270. So we're just going to practice this one more time. I'm going to use a different color for this triangle. Where is X now located? 6, -1. Y is now at 2, -2. And Z is now located -1, -8. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to then turn everything back to the original orientation. And now we can plot these. Let's put double primes on these just so that it's separate. We can look back and remember what we were doing. So we've got 6, -1, 2, -2, and -1, -8. So that's a 270-degree rotation from the original. Always rotate your textbook, your paper, anything you're rotating counterclockwise. And then jot your new coordinates in the margin, turn the paper back, and graph those points. Any questions?